Welcome everyone to our call. Today, we're going to be having a great call. And first, I'm going to introduce Ms. Mita Del Fiero, who has more than 30 years in training corporate companies, helping them to understand and move forward as they scale, show that we can help ourselves as we grow in this process. And so I'm not going to do a lot of introduction because everyone in the call pretty much knows who Mita is. And so Mita, go ahead and take the floor. It is yours.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Jamal. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. I don't know where everybody's calling in from, but I hope that covers pretty much everybody. And thank you for taking the time to be on this Zoom for us, with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's the business proposition. If you could be part of a viable humanitarian project that will elevate the lives of millions of people in Africa, and at the same time, you have the opportunity to invest as little as $100 or even $10 with the potential to receive life-changing returns. Would you at least be open to checking it out? Now, obviously, those of you that are already on the call, you already have, and you've already made your decision, a great decision, I must say. And here you are, you're already a part of what we are putting together, what we have put together. But you know, this whole project really started as a vision, right? Just like a lot of great ideas. It started as a vision. And the man whose vision it was, of course, is Marcus. And I really want you to hear more from him, because I want Marcus to share how this vision came about. What was this vision? What is his end goal? What it took for him to really get out there, to investigate, to actually be in Africa, to see for himself, because of his background with finance and investments, with all the decades and decades of rubbing elbows with people in Silicon Valley, and watching people literally invest such minimal amounts of money and come out on the other end making hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. So he knew all of this already as his background, as his expertise. But then after retiring, and he could have sat back, had a comfortable life, but instead he wanted to do more. He just felt compelled to do more and give back. And so I want him to share how this vision came about, and really how his initial execution, if you will, of this concept, what proof of concept on the ground already in Africa, and of course, all the very impressive endorsements and support that he's already garnered, not just from the royal family in Dubai, but a lot of very important people in Africa. So I'm going to let him share that story, because after all, it is his story. So Marcus, could you please come on and share your story?
Hey, good morning, Mita.
Good morning.
Team, family. Hope everyone is well. You know, it's exciting. It's exciting to hear, even to, you know, when you start off with a vision and something's in your head, and just to hear you do the pre-presentation of it, it makes me happy, because it means that this thing has started to live outside of my head. It lives out there in the real world. You know, just like a baby. You know, it lives out there now in the real world, and we've had over 100,000 people interact with us. And so, how this got started was, again, the short, quick version of my past, which was I spent about 25 years in finance. I had the blessing and privilege of doing finance all around the world. I basically did three things. I helped medium-sized companies grow, helped them raise capital, and helped them list on a stock exchanges from London to US to Africa and so forth. And did that for 25 years and had a great level of success. I was pretty pleased with my career. Um, and when I, talked to my mom, she said, "Well, what do you do?" And I was trying to explain it to her, try to explain it to her. I said, "Mom, I make rich people richer." And that was what resonated with her. But even though that resonated with her, it absolutely didn't make me happy, to think about it, right? I made people money who didn't need any additional money. Right? Or it didn't make me unhappy. It was a good career, but it didn't do anything for me personally. That's what I wanted to achieve while my time on earth and my time here. So I retired from that career after 25 years and started my first failed retirement. I get really bored about 30 days later, and a friend partner, venture capitalist from Silicon Valley reached out to me and said, "Why don't you come out here and see if you can do that growth stuff that you did with those medium-sized companies with startups?" So I lived in Miami. I went out to Silicon Valley, California, and started, going back and forth and investigating how to build startups from scratch and how to launch startups from scratch. And make a long story short, we had a good deal of success doing that. I incorporated the company December 2016, and again, right time and right place. I was able to sell that company 12 months later to a host of wealth managers and former director of Merrill Lynch. So with that, but I got a chance to see Silicon Valley up close. And what I saw was this, um, the biggest, greatest, fastest wealth creation machine that the planet has ever known. More people made money off of Silicon Valley, did all the oil, all the real estate, all the stocks, everything put together. More money has been made in Silicon Valley than all of that put together in a very relatively short period of time. And so from there, I retired again. But this time I knew what I wanted to do with my retirement, which was I wanted to do technology transfer to Africa. I saw this great Silicon Valley and what it created. I said, man, if you could put that engine in Africa or in Latin America or in Asia properly, you could help a lot of people who don't have access. And it really hit me that access was the point, was the key. And what I wanted to do, and so the big picture here, what I wanted to create was that any kid in Kenya, now at that point I'd never been to Kenya, but I knew there were kids in Kenya, and I knew those kids in Kenya didn't have access. So that's all I knew. I'd never seen a kid in Kenya, didn't know any kids in Kenya, but I knew they didn't have access. And I wanted to make sure that any kid in Kenya or anywhere else in Africa could have, and if they had a great idea, you have access to resources and opportunities. So the great idea and their hard work and their persistence and their talent can take them as far as anybody in Silicon Valley. They can go as far as their talent and hard work and their ideas it can take them. And so I took a first exploratory trip to Nigeria, to Africa about 6 years ago. I went to Nigeria for about 3 weeks, and it was totally eye-opening. I mean, totally incredibly eye-opening. With as much poverty as it was, as much corruption, as much bad things happening. The young people, I spent about 3 weeks with young people in their 20s, and the young people in their 20s, I kept asking them about all the stuff that I thought was bad or how they felt about it, and they kept telling me that as long as I got this cell phone in my hand, I have access to the world. In some kind of way, I'm going to figure out how to make it that way. There were young kids who wrote 1 million lines of code on a cell phone, never seen a computer in their life, wrote 1 million lines of code, for those who understand that, on a cell phone, on a small old iPhone. So So I was so encouraged by the young people that they wasn't worried about all the rest of the stuff that we see from outside. All they were worried about is they're getting some kind of way to get their opportunity and their chance. And if they got their chance, they could do the rest. They didn't, that's what they were looking for. I went back home. I thought about this. I couldn't get this off my mind. So about a year after that, I came back to Africa, to this side of the world, and I've never been home since. I never set foot in the U.S. since then. This time I came and it went a little bit wider. I went to Sierra Leone. Had the pleasure of meeting with the president of Sierra Leone, as well as several other presidents, as well as was invited to Germany and met with Muhammad Yunus, which is a Nobel Prize winner in microfinance and economics, and probably the foremost thought leader on how to get poor people out of poverty. Was at his conference in Germany, and I had a chance to talk to him and tell him what my thought process was, which is what we're doing today. He absolutely loved it. He absolutely loved it and said, this is, Marcus, you should do this, and gave me, several pieces of advice, which we took, um, which is, again, said with the president of Sierra Leone, and he gave me a great piece of advice, which was go to Nigeria. Say, if you can make it work, Nigeria is the toughest place in the world. If you can make it work in Nigeria, it can work anywhere. But actually, what he said exactly was, if you don't die in Nigeria and the project doesn't die in Nigeria, then you can make it anywhere. If your project dies in Nigeria, then it wasn't going to make it in Africa anyway. That's what happens when you talk to, that's what happens when you talk to presidents who used to be military generals. So, so I went to Nigeria, and I lived in Nigeria for over a year and a half, and found the most incredible thing, which is that, and something, really the energy of the Nigerian people and of African people and of people in general who you would think have no hope, have all the hope in the world. They have more hope than we have. They're just looking for their opportunity and their angle. They're looking for one little place crack to get in. And so in there, I met with they passed a minimum wage, 30,000 naira, which is about $60. And from that $60 a day, everybody said they couldn't pay the $60. So the government said they couldn't pay it. The corporation said they couldn't pay it. And I thought, I must be the worst capitalist in the world if $60, I could get a whole adult to work a whole month for $60, and I can't create something that I could sell for $61 and make a profit. From there, we really got to the program that we created today, which was that established a private partnership with the federal government of Nigeria. I went to the Villa, which is their version of the White House. I went to the Villa, which is their version of the White House, for the president of Nigeria. Established a private partnership to create 1 million jobs, the largest private job creation program in the world, to a private company, which is my company. I partnered with went and got recruited a NASDAQ company from the US, partnered with them into this private partnership. We raised $30 million for them in a matter of about 60 something days, and to feed this partnership. And just as we got everything together, COVID hit. And COVID, hit, and it hit in a very bad way for me. Literally right after we signed the partnership, like about 13 seconds after we completed all these great deals to launch, COVID hit. I came to Dubai for a 2.5 day meeting, in which case I was going back to Nigeria, and they locked down the airports. So I had a great partnership with the Nigerian government, but I wasn't in Nigeria. I was stuck in Dubai for COVID, locked down for 2 months, and the money was stuck in the US and at a NASDAQ company that was terrified to send the money to Nigeria since I wasn't there anymore. Forced us to pivot and got us to the spot that we are at now, which is this. We turned the program and launched it to blockchain and made it a blockchain digital program where people come and do tasks. We found out that 413 million people in sub-Saharan Africa are in extreme poverty, making less than $2 a day. With that, we created a digital program that anybody that in that condition in Africa can come to the platform for free, join for free. Everybody joins for free. We don't ask poor people for any money. Join for free. They can do tasks on the platform. They get paid a wage that's greater than extreme poverty, greater than $2 a day. When they get that wage, they get crypto. They can do one of three things. They can turn it right into a fiat, i.e., I need to turn it to cash, buy bread. They can save it, or they can invest it. If they invest it, we create a micro pension wallet form, and we've tokenized the top 100 US, top 500 now US securities. They can create a micro pension wallet, which is a portfolio that's just like yours and mine. Small, smaller, but like yours and mine. We launched this program in the fall of 2020. We launched it with one lady, and we recruited 100 ladies, and we taught them about the program. And within 95 days, we had over 100,000 participants. 100,000 participants to have 100,000 participants to 100,000 participants to join in 95 days. No marketing, no advertisement. 100,000 participants to join in 95 days. In that period of time, we had, and since then, we've had about 50,000 or over 59,000 people who collected some pay from us, who made some, taking some benefit from the program. We've had about 3,000 people who supported their families off of the program. We have about 300 people who accelerated themselves into effectively middle class in Nigeria, which is making roughly about $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month in Nigeria means that you can move out your family dwelling to your own dwelling, your own one-bedroom apartment. You can buy a used car, which means you're mobile, you can get around transportation-wise, and you can put your kids in paid school, which is 1,000 times better than public schools, free schools. From there, we've taken this program now, we're taking the same program across Africa, across every single country in Africa, and we will be there, within the next 30, 45 days. And with that, we're empowering people to get their first step forward, which is getting out of extreme and then looking for the future, which is getting to the community. And then the next person to build a business, the next person to get out of extreme poverty. And that's how we perpetuate this thing forward. And so with that, the creation of the African Startup League and what we're doing today, and that's the journey of how we got here. I tell you, I'll leave with this, which is that the most rewarding thing in the world and the most rewarding thing I've ever done is knowing that tens of thousands of people have collected pay from us and used that pay to survive. On my last birthday, I received, somebody leaked my WhatsApp number. I received 25,000 birthday messages. I literally couldn't answer my phone for 2 days. And if you heard the messages, you would understand that the impact that we actually had on the ground in everyday people's lives. So with that, I'm super excited. I'm going to turn it back over to Mita. I'll probably talk a little bit too long about myself and what we've done, but we're just super excited and proud of this work. And this is just the beginning. We want this work to impact millions of people, hundreds of millions of people, and over 1 billion people on the continent of Africa. So Mita, I'll turn back over to you.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Marcus. And great information. Of course, I know that everyone that's on this presentation right now, watching this presentation, certainly gained much better insight into not just your motivation, but really everything that you have put into this to be able to facilitate not only the proof of concept on the ground, but to really get the support, the endorsement, right, of so many of the presidents and the royal family and people who are in positions of influence. So we know now, of course, that you have gotten it started, and now it's an opportunity for those of us who are understanding what it is that you've actually put together to now be able to participate make a difference as well, because it is a humanitarian project. And at the same time, as we begin to really appreciate how we can benefit, leverage what we invest into it while we're helping to grow this whole program. So it now the pieces are really starting to fit for a lot of people. And what I'd like to do now is bring on another one of our team members, a gentleman who has done really over the years in his own way, trying to help out and make a difference for people in Africa. But he really caught on to your vision, Marcus, and that's now the fuel that drives him each day to helping to grow this project with the African Startup League. And that is, of course, Caleb. Mr. Caleb, can you open your line and please come on?
I'm right here, Mita. Thank you very
great.
much. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Yes. I want to thank also Prince Marcus Du Bois Dukes for that powerful foundation that he laid for us there and what he's still continually doing. I'm very, very extremely blessed to be a part of this. I got a call from Jamal some months ago telling us about this particular project, which is a project, something like this that we have been dreaming and imagining for years, I would say decades, something like this. But I just want to give you a quick kind of a picture with words, if you will, about what we have an opportunity for here, okay? Our founder, as I mentioned, Prince Marcus Dukes, has really made it quite clear to us that the creation of wealth is on the front end. And you got to really keep that in mind. The creation of wealth is on the front end. So all of the companies that we've heard about in the past, by the time you have heard of the company, the wealth creation opportunity was already over. By the time it really became a household word or name, that opportunity for wealth was already finished. You could still get in it. You could still make money. You can get in Microsoft today. You can get in Amazon today. You can invest in Google today and probably will have a decent investment, but you're just going to earn some income, perhaps. You're not going to get wealthy from that unless you start with wealth. And so that's what I want to make clear to you right now. Africa needs everything that we have here in America. And so what, that's what Marcus has laid out for us is basically an opportunity for several generations here. Imagine, if you will, I want you to do a lot of imagining with me this evening. Imagine, if you will, America 200 years ago. 200 years ago, we didn't have any of the things around that you see now. None of these things were here. 100 years ago, most of these things weren't even here then, okay? So imagine the opportunities in Africa now. It's still like 200 years has gone by in America, but 200 years there has been standing still even more than it's standing still here. And so all of those opportunities in America, in Africa are still there. So we're talking about startups, okay? We're talking about if you've got $100 laying around right now, I say hold on to it, listen to this overview, listen to the overview all next week because it's going to be on next week, calls every day at 5 o'clock Pacific time. Listen to those all week, keep holding your $100. And by the time you get enough knowledge on what's really going on, that $100 could put you in a very special position. I'll give you one example. Imagine if you had purchased Bitcoin when it was 1 cent, just 1 penny for Bitcoin, and you had $100, okay? And you can get it for 1 penny. You can imagine then how much Bitcoin is going for right now times how much Bitcoin you would have had, you would already be wealthy. And so that's what we're really looking at right now. We're looking at a situation in Africa where the African Startup League is about to create thousands of startup opportunities. And you are going to be invited to the table ahead of the masses. Everyone on this call right now, and everyone that you invite in the next several weeks, let's say the next 30 or 40 days, will have a huge jump on humanity, no matter where they live, no matter where they are, no matter how much money they have. We have a huge jump on everyone in the world right now of getting involved in a project on the very front end where we have a little bit of money in each one of the startups that take place. And there'll be many startups over there in Africa. They need a lot of things. They need everything, everything that you see right now, all around you, wherever you're sitting right now, they need that. They don't have that most likely, and they need that. They don't have water. They can't get water in the next 2 seconds like you can. Okay, they can't afford to waste water and spill water like we can. Okay, they need all of those services. Those services are going to be brought there because these startup operations that Marcus is creating right now in Africa, the teams are already on the ground over there, waiting on the ones over here who wants to really partner up with them with our $100 or $200 or $500 or $1,000 or whatever you have, teaming up with them, creating all of these fabulous startup opportunities. So imagine, if you will, if you took your $100 that you was about to use for this weekend coming up and maybe go to the movies and catch a dinner for you and some special person with you, that's $100. If you're fortunate, if you're in LA, it's probably $150, $175, maybe $200. But in some parts of the country, that could be $100. Okay. That $100 placed in one of these startup operations over there, and let's say one of these startup operations was a way for Africans to get water anywhere they wanted within seconds. Okay, clean drinking water within seconds. And that's not available to most Africans right now. Let's say that that was available, and the startup that we put maybe $10 into, or $50 into, the whole $100 into has grown now to 500 billion. That company in Africa is now worth $500 billion, and you put $100 in that. We'll ask Marcus later on, how much money would that be now, Marcus? If I put $100 in a project that turned out to be a $500 billion project, I'm pretty sure that that would be worth $3, $4, $5 million to you right now. We're talking about things that can change not only your life, but the lives of your children and the lives of your grandchildren and their children. Imagine that. Imagine putting $100 towards something, and all of a sudden now your life has changed totally. You know, there's no buzzers waking you up. No, you're late for work. There is no work. The work you're doing is lifting up a continent of people. As Marcus has put it, we're in a position right now where we can override the entire continent of Africa. Imagine that. And imagine this one thing here. You don't really imagine this. Just look this up on Google. There are people in America right now that are earning money on all the railroad lines that you see laid out across this country. Every time a train goes across those tracks, they pick up a couple of pennies. There are people right now in this country that every time you dial 213 area code, a 714 area code, they make a few pennies on that because they own the area code. Okay. I remember when they rolled that process out, you could buy into the area codes. And every time they use that area code, you're going to make a few pennies on it. There'll be opportunities created in this startup in Africa that you can put in as little as $10, or $25, or $50, or $100, or take $1,000 and put it in maybe 10 or 12 projects. That's most likely all of them are going to succeed, but some will exceed far greater than others. Either way, you're picking up 2 million from this one, 100,000 from that one, 200,000 from this one. This is the opportunity before you. So listen carefully, and Mita will point out to you exactly what you need to do to get started. And there'll be a lot of training and a lot of mentoring as we go along the process. So this is exciting. This is life-changing, and I'm thrilled to be blessed to be a part of this. Mita,
Great.
to
Well,
you.
thank you so much, Caleb. And again, ladies and gentlemen, you're on this presentation, right? You're beginning to get an idea now of what I opened up with as our business proposition. So if you could, in fact, be part of a viable humanitarian project that will elevate the lives of millions of people in Africa, and at the same time, you will have the opportunity to invest as little as $100. And it's going to have the potential to give you back, pay you back life-changing returns. Would you at least check it out? Would you at least take a closer look? And I do believe that most people would, as we're out there, as we begin to really grow our team to make all of this possible. You just heard of, obviously, from Marcus, whose vision was really the catalyst for all of this. You heard from Caleb, who kind of gave you some ideas to imagine. And it's true. You take an underdeveloped continent, you have all these underdeveloped countries in Africa who need to grow their economies. And when the economies can grow, people will be elevated. But it's going to take, obviously, a lot of resources in order to make that happen. There are a lot of people in Africa with a lot of time, willing to work, willing to put in the effort. They have ideas. All they need are the people who want to support their ambitions, to want to support their projects. And so we're going to be providing more training to really help everyone understand, how do I get involved? You just have to decide how much you want to get involved with. You heard Caleb talk about it. What if $100, you invest that in the right team because you believe in their business idea, in the project that they're working on, in the African Startup League, and they end up being one of the top 100 companies out of 10,000, or 100 teams out of 10,000. All of a sudden, that $100, based on the valuation of the startup business that they entered into this contest, that $100 could be worth millions, tens of millions, even hundreds of millions, depending on where they place in the contest. So we're going to be giving you more details about that. The only decision somebody has to make after they say, you know what, this is a great idea, I do want to be a part of it, is how much do you want to invest? How many teams do you want to support? Maybe you want to do a lot because you want to make a lot of money. Maybe you want to do a lot because you really want to help a lot of people. Whatever it is for you, you're going to be able to accomplish that here. We are here to continue to provide you with the support and the training, all of the information that you're going to need so that you can help us grow teams, the teams that will promote this, the teams that will invest in the startup league teams to be able to put their projects into that contest. And that's really kind of in a nutshell what we're offering you. So for anybody who's not yet involved, or anyone who is involved and now you're really learning more and you're going, you know what, I put in $100, but now that I understand a little bit more, I want to put in more. Because now you know that it's money well invested, not just for the returns in terms of the financial returns, but in terms of being able to help elevate the lives of millions of people in Africa. So with that being said, if there are any guests, certainly get back with the person who invited you. Let them help you get started. For those of you who are already getting started and you just caught onto a bigger picture, if you will, and you want to make sure that you are leveraging the maximum amount of money that you feel comfortable to invest, get back with the person who referred you so that we can help you make that happen. So with that, folks, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention, certainly, and allowing us to share this truly meaningful humanitarian project and amazing financial opportunity with all of you. So with that, we'll end it here. And thank you so much. So Jamal.